Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
The call was connected, and Collier's appearance appeared on the virtual screen. "Collier greets your majesty," Collier said respectfully. "What's the matter?" Zhou Zhou asked casually. "Your majesty, I have already bought the true god-tier master-servant territory contract through another high-level divine kingdom lord faction according to your instructions." "Your majesty, when will we conclude the contract?" Zhou Zhou was stunned. He actually managed to buy it in such a short period of time? He thought that it would take a long time even if the other party were to buy it. Zhou Zhou was even prepared to wait for the other party for a while. In any case, there was no hurry to sign a contract. At most, Collier would join the Blazing Sun Empire in his own name and become a subject of the Blazing Sun Empire. This way, he could at least ensure that the loyalty of the other party, the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, would not be a problem. He did not expect Collier to be able to obtain it so quickly, as expected of a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. This foundation and channels were indeed deep. "Come here now. Remember to bring all the available troops of your behemoth Divine Kingdom. When the time comes, we'll fight together," Zhou Zhou said without hesitation. "Yes, your majesty," Collier said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded and hung up. Half an hour later, at the border of the Blazing Sun Empire, a purple behemoth-like biological battleship flew over and stopped outside the border under the warning of the Homeland Defense Legion. Then, a low-tier deity-level amethyst behemoth flew out. He looked at the Homeland Defense Army members who were looking at him warily and said helplessly and respectfully, "We were instructed by His Excellency Common People's Regal to join the Blazing Sun Empire. Please inform His Excellency Common People's Regal that we have arrived at the border and are waiting for His Excellency's orders at any time." "You want to join our Blazing Sun Empire?" The defending troops at the border were enlightened when they heard this, but they did not look surprised. Ever since the Blazing Sun Empire's reputation resounded throughout the myriad worlds, they had seen many lord factions and even race factions that wanted to rely on them. Some lord factions and races even came from other worlds and crossed countless light years to the High Continent to join the Blazing Sun Empire. In the beginning, they were quite proud and novel, but as time passed, they got used to it. "So your friends who want to join the Empire? Wait here for a moment. I'll report it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs immediately." "Oh right, which lord's faction or race are you from?" "So your friends who want to join the Empire? Wait here for a moment. I'll report it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs immediately." "Oh right, which lord's faction or race are you from?" "We are the Lord faction of the beginner-level Divine Kingdom, the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. I am the Holy Son of the Divine Kingdom, Bartoli. My father is Collier, the Lord of the Divine Kingdom," Bartoli said proudly. Then, he felt very depressed. As the eldest son of the dignified Lord of the Divine Kingdom of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom, Collier, and the Holy Son of the huge Divine Kingdom, he usually had a respected status. Countless subjects dreamed of currying favor with him. When has he ever done such a humiliating thing? He really didn't want to appear here if he had a choice. However, he still came over obediently when he thought of his father's firm attitude wanting to change out his position of the Holy Son of the Divine Kingdom if he was unwilling. I wonder what father is thinking. It's true that the Common People's Regal is powerful, but there's no need to rush to give yourself to him, right? We're a Divine Kingdom Lord faction, but we actually took the initiative to surrender to an Empire Tier Lord faction and even want to become their subordinate territory? This can be said to be the first time in history. Our Behemoth Divine Kingdom is probably going to be nailed to the pillar of shame in the history of the heavens. The Crown Prince of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom felt extremely complicated, but he could not make any changes. He understood his father's stubbornness very well. He felt that even if he threatened to die, he probably wouldn't be able to change the will of the founding king. What else could he do? He could only accept reality. "All right, Divine Kingdom, right?" "What? Divine Kingdom?" The captain of the garrison and the others didn't react at first. When he reacted, he couldn't help but be shocked. The captain of the garrison and the others didn't react at first. When he reacted, he couldn't help but be shocked. This is very rare. No, this is probably the first time in history, right? who had once been fortunate enough to read the history of the worlds in the myriad races inheritance tower, could not help but think. Then, he verified Bartoli's identity in disbelief. After confirming it again, he immediately sent a message to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs excitedly. Soon, someone from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs came and brought Bartoli and their true god-tier biological battleships to the capital. Our Blazing Sun Empire is really getting stronger and stronger. The best thing I did in my life was to bring my family here to settle down. The captain of the garrison looked at the departing biological warship and smiled. In the Blazing Sun Imperial capital, at the Central Emperor Palace, Zhou Zhou sat on the throne and looked at the true god-tier master-servant territory contract in his hand. He looked it up and down before nodding slightly. Then, he looked at Collier not far away and said, "In that case, this emperor won't say anything else. Prepare to become this emperor's subordinate territory. Don't worry, since you chose to bring your behemoth divine kingdom and join this emperor's Blazing Sun Empire, this emperor naturally won't let you down." Zhou Zhou said, "Thank you, Your Majesty. However, I joined the Blazing Sun Empire only to follow Your Majesty. I wish for nothing," Collier said respectfully. Zhou Zhou pretended not to hear it. Then, he looked at the master-servant territory contract in his hand and chanted in his heart, "Please choose the lord you want to sign the master-servant territory contract with. Behemoth Divine Kingdom, Lord Behemoth." A request for a master-servant territory contract has been sent to the Behemoth Divine Kingdom, Lord Behemoth. Please wait patiently. Zhou Zhou looked at Collier. Collier also saw the text prompt that appeared in front of him and knew that once he confirmed it, he would become the first Lord of the Divine Kingdom to have a Divine Kingdom Lord Force sign a master-servant territory contract with an Empire-tier Lord Force. However, he didn't hesitate at all and chose to confirm it. The next second, a text notification appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. Behemoth Divine Kingdom. Behemoth Lord has agreed to your master territory contract application and officially become your subordinate territory. New subordinate territory has been added to your subordinate territory column. Behemoth Divine Kingdom. Beginner level Divine Kingdom Lord faction. You have the sovereignty of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom's territory. The king of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom and its subjects cannot disobey your orders as the lord of the main territory. At the same time, as the lord of the main territory, you also have to bear the responsibility of protecting your subordinate territory. You have added a special building to your territory, a cross-border teleportation array, true God-level elementary grade. You can choose to share the effect of your lord talent with your subordinate territory. At this moment, Zhou Zhou and Collier both felt a sense of connection between them. It wasn't just them. Collier's son, Bartoli, and the other ministers of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom who had come felt the majesty on Zhou Zhou's body inexplicably become heavier at this moment, making them involuntarily feel subservient. From now on, we are a real family. Zhou Zhou finally revealed a sincere smile. After signing the master-servant territory contract, the other party was considered one of them. "Yes, Your Majesty." Collier also smiled in relief. Then, he was suddenly alarmed as he sensed his divine body in shock. This was because he could actually sense that his potential, which was originally true God-tier advanced grade, had actually increased rapidly at this moment. In a short while, he had crossed the threshold of the Master God tier and reached the level of the Master God tier's potential. Moreover, this did not stop until his potential reached the Master God tier advanced grade. This increase in potential finally stopped. Collier was dumbfounded. He was both surprised and terrified. What is going on? He subconsciously looked at Bartoli, the child he valued the most, and realized that Bartoli's expression was similar to his. "Father, my potential seems to have increased to the true God-tier advanced grade," Bartoli said to Collier in surprise after his potential increased. True God-tier advanced grade. Collier was in a daze. He knew his son who originally only had the potential of a high-tier deity-level advanced grade. While it was only a step away from the true God-tier potential, this step was the difference between heaven and earth. Many amethyst behemoth ministers in the Divine Kingdom were dissatisfied with the potential of the Holy Son of the Divine Kingdom. They believed that he was not worthy of inheriting the behemoth divine kingdom with his potential. Collier had been worried about this. However, he only had one son with the amethyst behemoth bloodline. The most powerful one was a yellow gold tier behemoth, so he was even less qualified. Unexpectedly, the problem that had troubled he for a long time had mysteriously disappeared today. Could it be? At this moment, Collier and his son looked at Zhou Zhou at the same time. The other ministers of the behemoth divine kingdom also looked at Zhou Zhou excitedly. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly when he saw this. The increase in your potential is just the first small gift this emperor gave you after you joined the Blazing Sun Empire. Next is the second gift. With that, Zhou Zhou directly shared the legendary tier blessing of the war god with the behemoth divine kingdom. The behemoth divine kingdom's present immediately understood the power of this lord talent and could not help but be dumbfounded again. Oh my god, we can obtain an additional 9,000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. Doesn't this mean that killing one enemy is equivalent to killing 91 enemies? Doesn't this mean that our growth speed is equivalent to directly increasing by 90 times? This Lord talent is too terrifying, too shocking. I'm so happy. No wonder His Majesty's Blazing Sun Empire has clearly just risen not long ago. In terms of the average strength of the soldiers, it's already not inferior to those top-notch races. The Beeman ministers discussed excitedly. Collier and Bartoli were no exception. Especially Bartoli. He was behaving very differently from his previous reluctance. Bartoli's eyes lit up as he looked at his father in admiration. His father was really far-sighted. They had actually found such an extremely wise lord who could bring them a bright future. If he had known this earlier, he would have been willing to be a dog, let alone a subordinate territory. Other than what you feel, there are many benefits to becoming this emperor's subordinate territory. You might not be able to feel it now, but you will gradually feel it in the future. Zhou Zhou asked. Then, with a wave of his right hand, a world ring flew out and floated in front of Collier. Here's another little gift for you. Take a look. He smiled faintly. Collier took a deep breath and entered the world rings with anticipation. Then, he saw a set of true god-tier divine artifacts that were compatible with his nomological path. Collier clicked his tongue. Even though he had long heard that the god spirits of the Blazing Sun Empire all had a set of true god-tier divine artifacts of their own, hearing about it and experiencing it personally were two completely different feelings. Collier suppressed the excitement in his heart and said gratefully, "Thank you for the divine artifacts, Your Majesty. Work hard for this emperor, and I guarantee that you will have the future you dream of." Zhou Zhou said, "I'm willing to die for Your Majesty." Collier, Bartoli, and all the officials of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom present said respectfully. A large amount of information about the increase in loyalty appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. He took a look and retracted his gaze. "Since the matter is done, let's move on to the next matter. Let's go out and fight," Zhou Zhou said. "Your Majesty, who are we waging war against?" Collier and the others were extremely excited. If it was in the past, they would never have such a reaction. However, as the saying goes, one has a sharp blade and killing intent arises. Now, be it the increase in their own potential, the enhancement of the War Master God's Lord talent, or the true God-tier divine artifacts that Collier had just obtained, they all made them have the urge to immediately engage in a huge battle. Zhou Zhou didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "Collier, do you have any enemies in the Behemoth Divine Kingdom?" Collier was stunned. Then, he subconsciously said, "Of course it's the dragon race." "Other than the dragons?" Zhou Zhou asked. "If it's not the dragons, then it's the Monster Demon Divine Kingdom Lord faction." Collier's face revealed a trace of hatred. Monster Demon? Information about this race naturally appeared in Zhou Zhou's mind. Monster demons. Such monsters were born from the negative emotions of the world's life forms. Coupled with some negative energy items that triggered negative emotions, such a monster could be born. The genes in their bodies were naturally filled with the tyranny of destroying the world. The birth of every monster would bring about a shocking disaster in the world. It was also because of this that in the myriad worlds, they had a name that was more familiar to the life forms of the myriad worlds. That was monster or calamity beast. They were similar to the abyssal creatures, but they were somewhat different. The biggest difference was that no matter how high the bloodline level of the abyssal creatures was, the newly born abyssal demons still needed to grow step by step in the abyss to become god spirits or even stronger. However, monster demons were born strong, and the weakest among them was at the extraordinary tier level. The most powerful monster demon was even born at the master god tier level. However, the most powerful master god tier level monster demon Emperor King had been killed by the combined forces of other master gods not long after he was born. As for whether there were other master god tier monster demons, he did not know yet. The few monster demon lords on the high continent were all established by true god tier monster demons. He thought for a moment and said, "In that case, our target today is your enemy. Divine Kingdom Lord Faction, Monster Demon Divine Kingdom." It was quiet in the shrine. Everyone was shocked by Zhou Zhou's order. Even Zheng Yuanqi and the others, who were familiar with His Majesty, were no exception. Should he attack a Divine Kingdom Lord Faction? One had to know that they were only an intermediate grade Lord Faction. The difference between the two was at the national level. As an intermediate grade empire, it was extremely unlikely to destroy a Divine Kingdom Lord Faction, even if that Lord Faction was only a beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord Faction. However, when they thought of the Blazing Sun Empire's robust military forces and His Majesty's Master God-tier level combat power, they felt more confident. They had even defeated a terrifying opponent like AUS. It was just a beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord Faction. Normally speaking, a normal beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction that was not newly established would probably have trillions of soldiers, more than 10,000 god spirits, and more than 10 true god tiers. Moreover, they would have a certain amount of master god tier trump cards. However, what about Zhou Zhou? He now had a total of 1,629,974.6 billion 2,446 soldiers. There were also 3,571,296 god spirits and 1,725 true god tiers. Honestly, with Zhou Zhou's military strength and his master god tier combat power, it would not be a problem for him to directly attack a high-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Fortunately, Zhou Zhou had a stable personality and was unwilling to easily challenge a high-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction that was very likely to be protected by a Master God tier. Otherwise, he would have long attacked a high-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction. At this moment, when Collier and the other ministers of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom heard Zhou Zhou's words, they could not help but be stunned. Then, they looked at Zhou Zhou in disbelief. A thought subconsciously flashed through their minds. "Your Majesty, are you serious about facing a beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction as an intermediate-grade empire?" However, they also thought of Zhou Zhou's strength and the terrifying troops under him. This made them suddenly feel that it wasn't impossible for the Blazing Sun Empire, an intermediate-grade empire, to challenge a beginner Divine Kingdom. "Yes, Your Majesty." Collier didn't dare to hesitate and immediately said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded and asked, "How many troops did you bring?" "Reporting to Your Majesty, I brought a total of more than 650 billion soldiers, 111,658 god spirits, and 6 true god-tier behemoths. This is all the troops that can go out in our Beeman Divine Kingdom." Collier said respectfully, "It's too little. Forget it. Let's do it together." Zhou Zhou didn't mind and waved his hand. Then, everyone did not waste any time. They immediately gathered the troops that they had long prepared and boarded a Cosmos Emperor. Then, through the cross-border teleportation array given by the Master Servant Territory contract, they first headed to the Behemoth Divine Kingdom before heading to the Strange Demon God Kingdom. The Strange Demon God Kingdom was adjacent to the territory of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. When the Behemoth Divine Kingdom was at its strongest, the Strange Demon God Kingdom was still the side that the Behemoth Divine Kingdom could casually manipulate. However, later on, the Behemoth Divine Kingdom lost the method to advance its bloodline. After the entire race began to decline, The behemoth divine kingdom gradually began to be controlled by the monster demon god kingdom. Not only were their territories constantly plundered by the monster demon god kingdom, but there were also a large number of monster demons from the monster demon god kingdom who often collectively entered the behemoth divine kingdom and caused terrifying natural and man-made disasters. However, the few racial allies of the behemoth divine kingdom did not help when they saw the behemoth divine kingdom weaken and fall into trouble. They only watched coldly from the side. This made the already precarious situation in the behemoth divine kingdom even more miserable. Therefore, the demons hated the monster demons to the core. Later on, as a new bloodline advancement method, the sacred worship ceremony was developed. More and more amethyst behemoths began to appear. Only then did this situation ease slightly. However, this did not alleviate their hatred for the monster demons. Instead, it made them want revenge even more. When Cosmos Emperor arrived at the periphery of the demon god nation's territory, all the demons, including Collier, erupted with shocking hatred in their eyes. Master God tier monster demon, Eros, we meet again. Collier gritted his teeth. In the past, he was actually not Bartoli's direct descendant of the amethyst behemoth. Instead, he had 5 direct descendants of the amethyst behemoth. The potential of one of the direct descendants had even reached the true god tier advanced grade. He could completely inherit his position as the master god. At that time, the entire country believed that his son could become the next perfect ruler of the behemoth divine kingdom. In the end, when the other party went out to train, he was ambushed by a monster demon true god tier from the demon god nation and was straightforwardly eaten by the other party. Since that time, Collier's hatred for the monster demon could be described as monstrous. Army soldiers, listen up. Fly out of Cosmos Emperor and prepare for battle. The acting Legion commander of the Blazing Sun Army ordered. He was a true god tier advanced grade god spirit. At the same time, he was deeply trusted by Bai Yun. After Bai Yun left, the Blazing Sun Army was temporarily under her control. Splash. More than 160 billion soldiers, 3 million god spirits, and more than 1,000 true god tiers flew out of Cosmos Emperor. With such a terrifying number of extraordinaires and god spirits gathered together, it promptly caused the weather to change, space to tremble, and time to stop. All kinds of illusions of laws appeared around the army. When Collier and the other ministers of the behemoth divine kingdom saw that they had such deep strength, they promptly felt endless confidence. In the face of such a shocking force, what was a small and strange demon god kingdom? Hide most of the soldiers and god spirits. Before the provincial war begins, these monster demons will be scared away. In addition, the hidden soldiers and god spirits can secretly surround the entire monster demon scarlet divine kingdom to prevent any enemies from trying to escape after the war begins. Zhou Zhou ordered. The military strength that he controlled was too terrifying. It was far from what a beginner divine kingdom could deal with. Moreover, the monster demons were not a race that would defend their territory to the death. In order to prevent them from escaping, Zhou Zhou pondered of this method. Yes, the acting commander of the Blazing Sun Army uttered respectfully. Then, he began to give orders again. Soon, most of the soldiers and god spirits of the Blazing Sun Empire had hidden themselves and piloted spaceships to secretly surround and monitor the entire monster god kingdom to prevent any monster demons from escaping during the war. On the Cosmos Emperor's side, there were only more than 3 trillion soldiers, more than 20,000 god spirits, 10 human true god tiers, and 6 behemoth true god tiers. The phenomenon between heaven and earth suddenly weakened greatly. Soon, the monster demon divine kingdom also discovered the phenomenon here. A team of 12 monster demons flew over from afar and stopped far away from the Blazing Sun Empire's army. Zhou Zhou looked at it. He realized that most of these monster demons had terrifying appearances and were huge. To ordinary life forms, they were very intimidating. However, it was only SOSO to extraordinaries and god spirits like them. At this moment, this group of monsters was also looking at the army of the Blazing Sun Empire with a savage and greedy expression. Which divine kingdom faction is here? I can sense the auras of many god spirits. I saw the guy from the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. So it's the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. Hee hee, did these behemoths find help? So what if they find help? Under the leadership of our Emperor Eros, they will still be vulnerable. That's right, but we have to report it to His Majesty immediately. Ha ha, how interesting. Every few hundred years, a group of lords who call themselves righteous people will come to crusade against us with great fanfare. In the end, they were all eaten up by us. Thinking about it, it's really delicious. Don't these helpers invited by the behemoth divine kingdom know the consequences of provoking us, the monster demons? There's a new batch of help. Leave me a batch of behemoth and god spirits to eat when the war starts later. These monster demons commented arrogantly on the army of the Blazing Sun Empire. However, even though they were arrogant, they weren't stupid. They knew that their numbers were small and that it wouldn't be wise to fight head-on. Thus, they didn't stay in front of the army of the Blazing Sun Empire for too long before flying to the divine capital to report the situation. Zhou Zhou and company did not stop him. It was good that they had gone to inform them. It would be best if they could call all the powerhouses of the monster demon divine kingdom over. Only then could they kill all of them. After they left, Zhou Zhou and company did not stop. They directly piloted Cosmos Emperor and flew towards the capital of the monster demon divine kingdom. Along the way, a large number of fearless monsters saw Zhou Zhou and company coming over and rushed up to attack them from afar. In the end, they were naturally wiped out by Zhou Zhou's soldiers. As they slaughtered their way forward, they were soon not far from the monster demon divine kingdom. At this moment, the divine kingdom army of the demon god kingdom had finally appeared. More than 3 trillion troops of monster demons swept over from afar. Wherever they passed, the sky was dark. From afar, there was an aura of destruction and doomsday. It looked extremely shocking. After Zhou Zhou spread out his perception, he easily sensed the auras of more than 100 true god-tier monster demons. These monster demons have become stronger again. Collier also saw this scene and could not help but grit his teeth. Monster demons are born from the negative emotions and negative items of all living beings. And now, it's the era of lords fighting for supremacy. Because of the continuous wars, the families of the life forms of the myriad races were shattered, displaced, their relatives separated, and lives were plunged into misery and suffering. This is the best soil for nourishing the birth and strengthening of monster demons. No wonder the monster demons became so strong. With this kind of troops, they're almost catching up to an intermediate grade divine kingdom lord faction. Zhou Zhou fell into deep thought. Then, he looked at Collier and said with a smile, "Collier, your behemoth divine kingdom's defeat is not unjustified." Collier smiled bitterly. Collier. At this moment, a hoarse, high-pitched, and extremely terrifying voice resounded in the ears of the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Empire and the behemoth divine kingdom. "How many times have you come to our divine kingdom's territory? Let me think, it should be the 7th time, right? Ever since your behemoth divine kingdom's bloodline advancement method failed, you have come to our divine kingdom's territory 6 times in a row, wanting to counterattack our Eros's monster demon divine kingdom and wash away the humiliation your behemoth divine kingdom had suffered here in the past. In the end, you returned in defeat every time. TSK, what's the matter? It's rare for you to find a helper this time. Do you think you can do it? What a joke. You've already seen it, right? My Eros monster demon god kingdom is already 10 times stronger than before. Not to mention finding a helper. Even if you find 10 divine kingdom helpers, you will still be defeated by me. Moreover, you will suffer even more cruel humiliation and punishment than before. Your resistance is too weak. What's the point? The monster demon divine kingdom won't destroy your country. At most, we'll occupy your territory. Occasionally, we'll send our citizens to play in your territory for a few hundred years before leaving. Why do you have to court death? Towards the end, the master god tier divine kingdom, Eros, said in a regretful tone. Collier couldn't take it anymore. He flew out of the army and said coldly to Eros, "Eros, what one want to say is the opposite of you. Today is actually the day you and your divine kingdom are destroyed." After Eros heard Collier's words, many monster demons, including him, were stunned. Then, they all laughed loudly. Is Collier seeing things? After seeing our army, he still dares to say such words. He must have lost his mind after being bullied by us. How could such a thing happen to a god of the divine kingdom? TSK. Why don't we turn him into a member of our monster demon race? This is the reserve of the best monster demon race. Once he's transformed, he'll become an emperor-level monster demon. Could it be that he is confident in his allies? I think the allies around him are only SOSO. Why waste so much time talking to him? Just go up and eat them all. I've wanted to eat the flesh of this behemoth divine kingdom lord for a long time. After Eros finished laughing, his gaze also landed on the people of foreign race beside Collier. Only then did he realize that the person who came was a human god spirit. The human race? Eros was surprised. The human race was very weak in the high continent. Even though a famous human lord, the common people's regal, had recently appeared in the human race, he had never taken him seriously because he had never interacted with him. The main reason was that he did not believe that a lord who had just risen to power would have the legendary combat strength. Just thinking about it made him feel that it was impossible. Who would have thought that the usually arrogant master god behemoth would actually seek out the human alliance? What was Collier thinking? Collier, I didn't expect you to look for the human alliance. Why? You really can't find anyone to help you. So you randomly found someone to be your scapegoat before you die? Eros mocked. The humans beside me are not my allies. Collier said calmly. They are the soldiers of the human race's common people's regal's blazing sun empire. Now that our behemoth divine kingdom has become the blazing sun empire's subordinate territory, everything we do is up to the common people's regal. The reason why I came here today is because Your Excellency Common People's Regal wants to help us get rid of this thorn in our side. Eros, even though you don't believe me, your doomsday has arrived. It's too late to escape. As soon as these words were spoken, Eros' side was all stunned. Did they hear it wrongly? Such a huge divine kingdom was actually willing to be a subordinate territory of a human empire. This could be said to be the first case since ancient times. Collier, I think you're probably crazy. If what you said is true, doesn't that mean that you're going to take your behemoth race and be tied to the pillar of shame in history? A dignified divine kingdom is actually a subordinate territory of a human empire. It's funny just thinking about it. Eros laughed out loud. Is that funny? At this moment, Zhou Zhou's voice suddenly resounded in the hearts of all the monster demons. At the same time, the world instantly turned dark. A bright moon rose high into the sky and shone endless moonlight on the territory of the monster god divine kingdom. It also shone on the bewildered expressions of all the monster demons. Boom! A shocking master god tier pressure erupted from the army, instantly crushing the aura of the monster demon army. Shortly after, more than 16 trillion blazing sun empire troops, more than 3 million god spirits, and more than 1,000 true god tiers appeared from space. They were high and mighty, overlooking the army of the strange demon god kingdom below. It was as if he was looking down at a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. This emperor is asking you. Is that funny? Zhou Zhou's cold voice sounded again. Eros and the monster demon army felt the pressure of the master god tier and looked at the army and god spirits that filled the sky. The smile on their faces finally froze. Eros looked at the soldiers and god spirits that filled the sky, and his legs could not help but tremble in fear. How could there be so many soldiers and god spirits? There was also that extremely terrifying master god tier pressure. Did the other party really have the protection of a master god tier? Was it true that the legendary tier common people's regal had faced out Scarlet Invasion Army head-on and even repelled the Scarlet Invasion Army? It's the king of the monster demon divine kingdom. At this moment, Zhou Zhou's voice sounded again. He had an indifferent attitude as he looked down at this true god-tier monster demon king. This emperor can give you a chance to surrender to this emperor. This way, this emperor might spare your lives and serve this emperor. How about that? The king of the monster demon divine kingdom was stunned. Then, a ferocious expression appeared on his face. A mere lord of a life form actually wants me, the king of monster demon, Eros, to submit to you? In your dreams. General Yanagaki, General Baltan. For the glory of the monster demons. Lead all the monster demons and attack them for the glory of the monster demons. Even if we die, we have to bite off a piece of the other party's flesh. The monster demon king screamed. Yes. The eyes of the two true god-tier advanced grade, Yanagaki and Baltan, were burning with anger. They led an army of more than 300 million monster demons, more than 10,000 monster god spirits, and more than 100 true gods to charge at the army of the Blazing Sun Empire. The difference in strength between the two was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was hard to imagine how the monster demons had the courage to attack them. Zhou Zhou frowned as he watched this scene. He was very puzzled, but then he thought of the reason for the birth and history of the monster demons and had some guesses. However, the enemy had already closed in. Zhou Zhou didn't have time to think. The moment the soldiers of both sides fought the god spirits, he raised his right hand and activated the 10,000 spirit saint. He didn't believe that even if the other party could resist the fear of death, could he resist his Lord Talent? Soon. Prompt. You have activated your mythical tier, unique Lord Talent, 10,000 Spirit Saint. All spirits see you as a supreme saint and long to follow you. Lord Talent Notification 1. A total of 125, 632, 4515 Extraordinary Tier Monsters, 325, 540, 6908 Epic Tier Monsters, 151,330,215 Legendary Tier Monsters, 3,156 Low-Tier Deity Level Monster God Spirits, 1,522 Mid-Tier Deity Level Monsters, 501 High-Tier Deity Level Monster God Spirits, and 52 Monster True God Tiers have left their territory and become your loyal followers. Lord Talent Notification 2. You have obtained a Spellcaster, Lamba, True God Tier Intermediate Grade. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. Not bad. The 10,000 Spirit Saint had directly incited 1,502,040,233,003 soldiers, 5,179 God Spirits, and 52 True God Tiers. Even though it was far inferior to yesterday's gains, Zhou Zhou was not too greedy. Then, without another word, he ordered the monster demon soldiers and god spirits who had instigated the Insight defection to attack their companions with all their might. It had to be said that this order did throw the monster demon army into chaos. However, what happened next exceeded Zhou Zhou's expectations. This was because after the monster demon army experienced a short period of chaos, a portion of the monster demon soldiers and god spirits broke free from the internal enemies and fought with the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Empire again. As for the other group of monster demon soldiers and god spirits, after being injured by the infighting soldiers and god spirits, they immediately flew into a rage and began to attack all the enemies around them. This included not only the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Empire and the monster demon soldiers who were fighting among themselves, but also the monster demon soldiers who had not been incited by Insight defection. Moreover, from their expressions during the battle, they seemed to be even more excited than when they were fighting against the Blazing Sun Empire's external enemies. When the other monster demon soldiers and monster god spirits saw this scene, they were not surprised at all, as if it was reasonable. Many monster demon soldiers and monster demon god spirits even took the initiative to join the internal strife and release the destruction and brutality deep in their genes. Is this a race that is born to be tyrannical and full of the desire to destroy? Zhou Zhou shook his head. They would even kill their own people when they went crazy. They really lived up to their reputation. Half an hour later, the army of the monster demon divine kingdom, which was plagued by internal and external troubles, was completely destroyed. The one who lasted until the end was the king of the behemoth divine kingdom, Eros. Common people's regal, we will meet again. Monster demons are indestructible. Eros roared viciously before he was killed by the Blazing Sun Empire. Zhou Zhou calmly watched Eros die and didn't care much about what he had said before his death. He had many enemies. Every enemy had similar thoughts, but in the end, didn't all of them die anyway? However, the monster demons are indeed indestructible unless my Lord's law reaches the level of willpower and wipes out the dark side in the hearts of all living beings. It's impossible to completely destroy the monster demons. But that's too hard. Zhou Zhou shook his head. How difficult was it to destroy the dark side in the hearts of all living beings? It could be said that any normal living being would have a dark side in their hearts. Even Zhou Zhou was no exception. If Zhou Zhou wanted to erase the dark side of all living beings, he would first have to deal with the dark side in his heart. At the thought of dealing with him, Zhou Zhou felt a little helpless. The difficulty of destroying he, who had mastered all kinds of undying recovery methods, was no less than destroying a supreme god realm. One could imagine how difficult it was. The dark side of life forms can't be destroyed, nor can it be destroyed. Even though I don't want to admit it, darkness and light sometimes complement each other. If the darkness is eliminated, the light will become an unsolvable darkness. This darkness will only be more terrifying, Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. However, there were ways to deal with the monster demons. He could not kill the source of the birth of monster demons, but it did not stop he from restricting the birth of monster demons. As long as he forcibly restricted the birth of the monster demon and prevented it from appearing in front of life forms, even if the monster demon existed, it would be no different from extinction. Apart from that, what surprised Zhou Zhou was that he had originally thought that Eros, the god lord of the divine kingdom, would use some master god tier level trump card to counterattack. However, in the end, Eros did not use any ultimate moves, making he feel a sense of pity. He still wanted to play by himself. Clean up the entire divine kingdom's territory, collect all the divine kingdom's treasures, and bring them back to the Blazing Sun Empire. Zhou Zhou did not think too much about it and ordered. Yes. The generals obeyed. Then, he immediately went to make arrangements. This strange monster demon divine kingdom probably doesn't have many treasures. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself as he watched them leave. The monster demons were a destructive race. They did not care about any treasures and rarely wore weapons and equipment. They only fought with their powerful bodies and bloodline talents. With the monster demons' hatred for civilization, after they occupied the new territory, they would immediately destroy the remnants of the original forces and civilizations, including buildings, artworks, and so on. The only treasures that could be left in the monster demon's territory were the raw ores, raw materials, and other items that were not processed by any civilization. This was also the reason why many forces were unwilling to attack the monster demons. They would have meaningless sacrifices. In addition, the monster demons were not weak to begin with. After dying for a period of time, they might even revive in a stronger state. Under such circumstances, who would be willing to risk their lives to exhaust these monster demons? Therefore, unless the monster demons took the initiative to attack them, not many lords would be willing to do such a thankless task. Zhou Zhou did not think too much about it. He first summoned the corpse of the Lord of the Divine Kingdom, Eros. Then, he calculated in his heart and quickly calculated the location of the Eros Divine Kingdom. If Eros was still alive, it might be very difficult for Zhou Zhou to calculate. However, after Eros's death, most of the defensive methods that he had set up were ineffective. In addition, with Eros's corpse as divination material, it was much easier to divinate the location of the other party's divine kingdom. Zhou Zhou looked at the sky. His gaze seemed to pass through the distance and see a yellow desert planet. Go to the divine kingdom and divine capital and wait for me. After Zhou Zhou finished speaking to the people around him, he immediately teleported and disappeared. On a yellow desert planet, Zhou Zhou's figure appeared. He looked at the desert in front of him. He raised his hand and waved. He saw a grain of sand fly out from the bottom of the desert and land in his palm. Disguise the divine kingdom world as an ordinary piece of gravel and throw it into a desert planet. I've heard of such things from bloodline inheritance in the past, but this is the first time I've seen it in reality. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Following that, he directly broke through the gravel's disguise with his divine sense and transformed into a 9-colored stream of light that entered. In Eros's divine kingdom world was the scene of a desolate apocalypse. Sand filled the sky, yellow clouds covered the sun, the universe was silent, and all living beings were gone. When Zhou Zhou arrived and saw this scene, he didn't look further. After teleporting again, he arrived in front of a simple palace. This palace was made of the most solid stone and was more than 10 light years tall. There were many tall and majestic stone chairs and all kinds of simple weapons inside. It looked like an ancient temple. The corpses of a group of monster demons and pilgrims lay scattered on the ground of the stone hall. It was as if they did not expect themselves to die so suddenly. Zhou Zhou shook his head. This was how the believers who had ascended to the divine kingdom were. As long as the God Spirit did not die, the pilgrims who believed in the God Spirit could exist forever. However, once the God they believed in died, no matter how powerful the pilgrims were, they would die with him. Currently, there doesn't seem to be a pilgrim in my divine kingdom. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself before smiling and shaking his head. He walked forward and soon arrived at the deepest part of the temple. There was a towering white jade tablet that was 1,000,000 kilometers tall. The white jade tablet emitted an extremely pure 5-colored divine light, as if it could suppress the world and suppress the universe. Zhou Zhou looked at the majestic jade tablet with anticipation in his eyes. The divine kingdom jade tablet. This is the first time I've seen it in the flesh, even though I've seen it many times in the bloodline inheritance memories. Let this emperor open you up and take the divine kingdom token inside. This way, when I establish my divine kingdom in the future, I can also use the divine kingdom token. Then, he took a look at the durability of the divine kingdom jade tablet. In the end, he discovered that the durability of this elementary divine kingdom jade steel was shockingly as high as 10 trillion. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he took a deep breath and directly activated the king. He also activated his moon demon talent to raise his power to the low-level Master God tier elementary grade. Then, he put on a full set of Master God tier divine artifacts and finally took out the regal sage Dao sword. He gathered the power of the myriad method star palm and condensed it on the blade. Rumble. The universe of the divine kingdom changed. Large black cracks appeared in the space, and pitch-black lightning roared angrily in the universe. It was Eraz's already dead divine kingdom universe that looked apocalyptic. It could not withstand the Master God tier power that Zhou Zhou had unleashed at this moment and was actually about to collapse. Flash. Zhou Zhou completely disregarded all of this. His gaze turned sharp as he raised the regal sage Dao sword and slashed it down at the divine kingdom jade tablet. Rumble. A loud bang sounded in the world. The entire true god tier middle world collapsed under the power of this sword. Zhou Zhou was extremely powerful and had the protection of a master god tier divine artifact, so he was naturally unharmed. As for this towering divine kingdom jade tablet that was 1,000,000 kilometers tall, it was actually unaffected. However, more than half of it had been slashed apart by Zhou Zhou's sword, revealing a hideous crack. Its durability had also directly increased from 10 trillion to 450 trillion. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. The power contained in his sword, with the support of many Master God tier divine artifacts, was already comparable to the power of a Master God tier advanced grade. He actually didn't destroy this divine kingdom jade tablet with a single strike, as expected of the symbol of the top-notch divine kingdom. Zhou Zhou did not hesitate and slashed again. This divine kingdom jade tablet that had collapsed by more than half finally collapsed completely, turning into countless jade stones that fell into the void accompanied by a louder roar than before. Zhou Zhou picked them up and threw them into his king's treasure vault. Then, Zhou Zhou looked at the treasure on the divine kingdom jade tablet. There were a total of 5 treasures on the divine kingdom jade tablet. 3 of them were the true god tier intermediate grade regional token, the true god tier elementary grade territory, and the most important one was the true god tier elementary grade divine kingdom token. Zhou Zhou looked at the divine kingdom token. The divine kingdom token was made of 5-colored divine jade and emitted a faint 5-colored light. Treasure name, divine kingdom token. Treasure grade, true god tier elementary grade. Treasure effect. Those with a high-level empire can use the divine kingdom token to obtain one of the qualifications to establish a beginner divine kingdom. Treasure description. Certificate to establish a supreme divine kingdom. After Zhou Zhou finished reading it, he kept it in the king's treasure box in satisfaction. Then, he looked at the other 2 items. One of the items was a was a grayish-black stream of air, while the other item was a blood-colored talisman. Treasure name, destructive energy. Treasure grade, master god tier advanced grade. Treasure effect, the first wisp of destruction energy from the chaotic era. It contains the original law of destruction. After placing it in the Kingdom Stone Tablet / Empire Golden Tablet / Divine Kingdom Jade Tablet, the Lord and his subordinates' attacks will increase the law of destruction's indestructible assault characteristic. Treasure description, the original substance of the law of destruction. It contains primitive and pure destruction energy. Treasure name, Berserk Divine Talisman. Treasure grade, Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Treasure effect, an intrinsic divine talisman created by a Berserk Master God. After fusing with the Kingdom's Stone Tablet / Empire's Golden Tablet / Divine Kingdom Jade Tablet, the Lord and his subordinates can be even more fanatical and focused in battle. There is a 100% chance of unleashing twice their normal combat power, and a 10% chance of unleashing 5 times their normal combat power. Treasure description, an intrinsic divine talisman created by a Berserk Master God Tier. It was accidentally obtained by Eros after its death. It contains astonishing power that can double the combat power of life forms. Zhou Zhou looked at these 2 top-notch Master God Tier advanced grade treasures in surprise. Destructive Genesis Chi, Berserk Divine Talisman. I originally thought that Eros's strange demon god kingdom did not have any Master God Tier treasures. So it's ale here. Furthermore, they are all top-notch treasures at the level of Master God Tier Advanced Grade. He clicked his tongue in wonder. 2 top-notch Master God Tier Advanced Grade treasures. Even existences at the level of the 10 Master God Tiers would be tempted by such treasures. Then, his gaze landed on RHE Fanatical Divine Talisman. A 100% chance of unleashing twice the combat power of a normal state. A 10% chance of unleashing 5 times the combat power of a normal state. I wonder how effective this top-notch Master God Tier treasure will be when it lands on me. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. His normal combat strength was actually only comparable to a true God Tier. His strength lay in his King, Moon Demon talent, Power Heavenly Emperor's power, various Master God Tier divine artifacts, Lord talent, and various other additional means. Then, he didn't think too much about it. He put it away and prepared to integrate it into his Empire's Golden Tablet. Then, he looked at the text notification that had just appeared. Lord of the Race event notification. Congratulations, you have successfully conquered true God Tier Heron and his forces. You obtained 2 million hegemony points. Lord of the Race event notification. You have been awarded 1,000 Obscure Lord shop points since you conquered a beginner-level Divine Kingdom during the first stage of the Race Lord event. Announcement from Lords of all races and all channels. Congratulations to Lord of the Blazing Sun, the human race, for becoming the first Lord to break through the power of a Divine Kingdom. The reward is Supreme Treasure Box, +1, and Mythical Reputation rating +10. Lord announcement. Congratulations to the human Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord announcement. Congratulations to the human Lord of the Blazing Sun. Zhou Zhou nodded after reading it. As expected of a Divine Kingdom Lord faction, the hegemony points and Obscure Lord shop points rewarded after capturing were 10 times more than the Empire Tier Lord faction. Moreover, this time, it also triggered the entire channel announcement of the Lord of all races. Zhou Zhou was not in a hurry to look at the rewards. He first opened the Lord's channel. At this moment, the Lords of the myriad races were discussing the announcement in the entire channel. Am I seeing things? The Lord of the Blazing Sun defeated a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. What Lord of the Blazing Sun? How can you call her that? Call her Your Excellency Common People's Regal. Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Hee. Why the F*** CK should one still be a lord? I can just hand over my territory token and surrender my ass. I'm still thinking about how to defeat a beginner kingdom with my allies. The Divine Kingdom Lord faction has already fallen. I'm not included in the Lord of all races version update, right? It's really ridiculous. At this rate, the Lord of all races is probably already in the other party's hands. Don't be in such a hurry to come to a conclusion. The Lord of all races competition has just begun. If we want to see if the Lord of the Blazing Sun is qualified to obtain the position of Lord of all races, we'll have to see if he can survive this Lord of the Races event. If he can survive this event, it proves that even the forces of the 10,000 races can't do anything to this Lord of the Blazing Sun. In that case, he really has the qualifications to come into contact with the position of Lord of all races. That makes sense, but I still think that the common people's regal is too powerful. To be able to defeat a divine kingdom lord at this stage, it's too eking ridiculous. Currently, there is a theory in the universe. Starting from the Lord of the Blazing Sun, the new era of the lords of the myriad races is about to begin. The old races and factions in the past will be reshuffled in the Lord of all races competition. I didn't believe it at first, but now, I believe it a little. Now that the huge divine kingdom lord factions have been destroyed, how far can it be for those top bloodline races and factions to be destroyed? Be careful with your words. After Zhou Zhou finished reading the bragging of the lords of the myriad races, he closed the myriad race lord channel in satisfaction. Then, he looked at the supreme treasure chest. He saw an ancient gray wordless stone tablet lying quietly inside after opening the treasure chest. Zhou Zhou looked at the wordless stone tablet. Gradually, mysterious words gradually appeared on it. After he finished reading, he actually felt that he had more insights into the higher-level Lord laws. This stone tablet is actually helpful for me to comprehend the Lord's law. Zhou Zhou was slightly surprised. At this moment, a text notification appeared. Treasure name, Universal Sky Tablet. Treasure grade, Master God Tier Advanced Grade 1. Treasure effect, a treasure created by the Chaos Will. It records the endless laws of all living beings in the myriad worlds. Every God's spirit-level existence can see their own path of laws in the Universal Sky Tablet. Treasure description, a law cultivation treasure that records endless laws. A treasure created by the Chaos Will, the Universal Sky Tablet. So it's not just the Lord's law. All God spirits can see their own nomological path in this Universal Sky Tablet. TSK. Not bad. I can put it in the reincarnation sacred palace for all the God spirits to cultivate. Zhou Zhou took a few last glances before putting it into his king's treasure box. As for the mythical reputation rating talent represented by the 10 points of mythical reputation rating, he would probably have to wait until tomorrow. Following that, he looked around a few times and didn't find any treasures worth paying attention to before returning to the Cosmos Emperor. At the same time, Collier, Baroli, and the ministers of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom were looking at the land of the strange demon god kingdom that had been destroyed. For a moment, they were stunned speechless. Father, the Eros monster demon divine kingdom was destroyed just like that? They are our Behemoth Divine Kingdom's greatest enemy for tens of thousands of years, Bartoli said in disbelief. Collier looked at the ruins of the Eros Divine Kingdom and did not speak for a moment. At this moment, the time divine dragon, Kyoto, appeared. As soon as he appeared, he used the time reversal to restore Rhe ruined demon god kingdom to its original state. After that, he looked extremely relaxed as he floated away again. This scene shocked Collier and the others again. After a long time, Collier snapped back to his senses, took a deep breath, and said, "Yes, the Eros monster demon god kingdom was destroyed. And in less than half a day. This is the consequence of becoming enemies with Rhe common people S. Regal and the Blazing Sun Empire. Bartoli, as the subordinate territory of the Blazing Sun Empire, we must do our part and not have any thoughts of overstepping. Do you understand? Bartoli, as the subordinate territory of the Blazing Sun Empire, we must do our part and not have any thoughts of overstepping our boundaries. Do you understand? I understand, Bartoli hurriedly said. Overstepping our boundaries? How would he dare to do that? He did nor even dare to have the slightest thought of crossing the line. The powerful Eros divine kingdom was directly destroyed without even having the chance to make a splash in from of the Blazing Sun Empire. In other words, if the common people's regal wanted to destroy the Behemoth divine kingdom where he was, it would only be easier than destroying the Eros monster demon god kingdom. Bartoli was extremely terrified and also extremely excited. Following such an expert and hugging the thigh of such a powerful lord meant that as long as they did not make any mistakes midway, they were destined to rise together. Maybe, not only could they bring the behemoths back to their peak, they might even surpass their peak and reach a new height. Bartoli was trembling with excitement for such a future. I'm going to see His Excellency Regal. Collier took a deep breath and flew towards Cosmos Emperor. Inside the Cosmos Emperor, Zhou Zhou sat in the captain's seat and looked at the extremely respectful Collier in front of him. "Why are you looking for this Emperor?" he asked casually. "Your Majesty, it's about the monster demon divine kingdom," Collier said respectfully. "In the entire High Continent, there are no less than 10 divine kingdom lord factions of the monster demon race, and no less than 10,000 empire-tier lord factions. As for the scattered kingdoms and lord factions below the kingdom level, there are countless of them. Ever since the monster demon king died, they had a great sense of danger and became united. His Majesty suddenly attacked this time and destroyed Eraz's monster demon divine kingdom. When the other strange demon god kingdoms and lord forces see this, they will definitely attack Your Majesty. Your Majesty has to prepare early." "The other monster demon divine kingdoms," Zhou Zhou pondered and said. "Zero, open the map of the entire High Continent." "Yes, Your Majesty." Zero obeyed. Then, a huge virtual map appeared in the air in front of Zhou Zhou. "Check for monster demon divine kingdom forces within 1,000,000 light years around the Eraz divine kingdom and the blazing sun empire," Zhou Zhou asked. The next second, the entire virtual map was split into two. A portion of it was a map of the High Continent with the blazing sun empire as the center and a radius of 1,000,000 light years. Another part was the map of the High Continent with the Eraz divine kingdom as the center, covering a radius of 1,000,000 light years. There were a total of 6 blood-red spots on the two virtual maps, showing the monster demon divine kingdom lord factions nearby. There's 1 monster demon divine kingdom lord faction around the blazing sun empire, and 5 monster demon divine kingdom factions around the Eraz monster demon divine kingdom. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows in surprise. They're actually so close. The entire High Continent was very large, comparable to a super-large boundless universe. Its diameter alone was as far as 100,000 trillion light years. This was just a very inconspicuous small portion of it. He did not expect that there were actually a total of 6 divine kingdom lord forces of the monster demons within such a small area. Something's wrong. Zhou Zhou rubbed his chin. He did not believe that such a coincidence could exist in this world. He wanted to check what the secret was, but just as he was about to take action, he hesitated for a moment and gave up. There were too many secrets in the myriad worlds. If he wanted to use the Bodhi Supreme to resolve his doubts when he encountered one, no matter how many opportunities there were, it would not be enough. Moreover, with his current strength and faction, he could fight with a high-level divine kingdom lord faction. Even if there was a secret to why the demon god kingdom was so densely distributed, it should not be able to threaten him. There was no need for him to waste a precious opportunity to resolve his doubts for something that could not threaten him. The new event has just begun. Let's use the opportunity to clear my doubts on the new event, Zhou Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the map in front of him and suddenly thought of something. He revealed a smile. "Don't worry, Collier. Even if the other strange demon god kingdoms don't look for this emperor will take the initiative to look for them. This is a rare good opponent. We can't waste it." Zhou Zhou smiled. This was because he had always been cautious. Other than the Titan god race, he had almost never had a direct conflict with any true divine kingdom lord faction. This made his situation relatively safe. At the same time, he encountered an awkward situation when he was looking for a divine kingdom lord faction to be his opponent. That was, he had almost no good reason to start a war with these divine kingdom lord factions that he had never interacted with. He spoke frankly. In fact, expanding the territory normally was a very good reason to start a war in this era. However, if he really did that, unless the target of his war was the Scarlet faction, the other divine kingdom lord factions would treat the party who took the initiative to start the war as a potential danger. If he wasn't a lord of the myriad races, even if the other divine kingdom lord factions saw him as a dangerous person, he would probably turn a blind eye to their war expansion. However, not only was he a lord of the myriad races, but he was also the strongest lord of the myriad races. Then, it was very likely that these Divine Kingdom Lord factions would use the excuse of potential danger to launch a joint attack on him. It was very likely that a large group of Divine Kingdom Lord factions would jointly attack him. Zhou Zhou didn't want to face such a terrifying attack so early, so he wouldn't expand so unscrupulously for the time being. In that case, choosing a suitable opponent was a very important matter. Now, Zhou Zhou suddenly realized that the Divine Kingdom Lord faction of the monster demons was an excellent target for war. First, due to the characteristics of their race, the monster demons were born to be the destroyer of myriad worlds, which made them extremely notorious among the 10,000 races. Except for the abyss and other destructive forces, almost all the other 10,000 races regarded the monster demons as their enemies, which made the monster demons almost without any allies. This way, when Zhou Zhou attacked the other party, he would not have to worry that the other party would suddenly stand up and have a few allies help the other party attack him. Second, the monster demons were the enemies of the behemoth Divine Kingdom. He could completely use this as a reasonable reason to launch an invasion war against the other party. The other 10,000 races could not say anything about this. If there was really a faction of all races speaking up for the monster demons, he could accuse them of colluding with the monster demons and make them fail to steal the chickens. Instead, he would be in trouble. And from this, Zhou Zhou also thought of another target that could reasonably launch an invasion war. That was the Abyssal faction. This faction could be said to be inferior to the monster demon race on the enemy rankings of the life forms of the myriad races. He could even be considered to have occupied the first place on the enemy rankings. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the #1 enemy of the myriad worlds. Even though monster demons like to cause destruction in the myriad worlds and spread panic and destruction, they would not really destroy the world and the life forms of the myriad worlds because they needed to gain power from the negative emotions of the life forms of the myriad worlds. Unless they did not want to become stronger, they would definitely not want to destroy the myriad worlds and life forms. As for the Abyss clan, they really wanted to destroy the world and pull the myriad worlds into the Abyss, turning all the life forms of the myriad worlds into the Abyss clan. The entire myriad worlds regarded the abyssal forces as common enemies. Back then, the Holy Knight Temple of the human race had also guarded an entrance to the Abyss and fought against the invading forces of the Abyss year after year. There were countless such things in the High Continent and even the myriad worlds. It could be seen how often the abyssal forces invaded the myriad worlds. Your Majesty, are you going to take the initiative to attack the other monster demon kingdoms of the monster demon race? Collier asked in surprise. The monster demons were a very famous race in the myriad worlds, and there were mainly people who hated them. Even though the reputation of this race had decreased a lot after the destruction of the monster demon king, many races and lords still hated the monster demons to the core. Don't you think they are good opponents? Zhou Zhou asked. I understand, Your Majesty. They are indeed good opponents. Collier quickly understood Zhou Zhou's thoughts. However, he was still very surprised. He understood the reason behind it, but not every lord dared to choose such a race to fight. There's still some time today. I'll go back and destroy the monster demon divine kingdom ruled by the true god-tier monster demon, Antonella, in the southeast of the Blazing Sun Empire first. We'll destroy the strange demon god kingdoms around your behemoth divine kingdom tomorrow. During this period, if any other monster demon forces dare to disturb us, we'll destroy them together. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty, Collier said respectfully. After today's incident, Collier no longer doubted His Majesty's decision. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, after the army cleaned up the battlefield, they immediately returned to the Blazing Sun Empire through the cross-border teleportation array. Then, they piloted Cosmos Emperor again and flew towards Antonella's monster demon divine kingdom without stopping. Antonella's monster demon divine kingdom was even stronger than the monster demon divine kingdom. There were more than 80 billion monster demon soldiers, more than 30,000 monster demon god spirits, and more than 200 true god-tier monster demons. However, in front of Zhou Zhou's army, They were all destroyed in less than an hour. After cleaning up the battlefield and occupying this place, Zhou Zhou led the army and the lords of the Star Alliance back to the Blazing Sun Empire's territory. As he developed the Blazing Sun Empire's border territory, he let the lords use their insight defection opportunities. At the same time, not long after the Blazing Sun Empire's lord announcement of conquering the Divine Kingdom was released, and the races and factions behind the lords came to know about it, some of the race leaders gathered together and began to discuss this matter. How long has it been only? This Lord of the Blazing Sun can actually defeat a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. We can't let the Lord of the Blazing Sun continue to develop like this. There are only a few races with Divine Kingdoms after all. The upper limit of many high-level bloodline races is the Divine Kingdom Lord faction. If the Lord of the Blazing Sun can conquer a Divine Kingdom Lord faction, it means that he already has combat power comparable to high-level bloodline race factions. In other words, his strength is not far from top-level bloodline races like us. His development speed is too shocking. By the way, didn't you say that you wanted to target the Lord of the Blazing Sun's mother planet? How is it now? Don't you know? I'll send you a video, but don't be too surprised after watching it. After a while, the War Master God Terrence, the Wisdom Master God, Top Earth, and the Machina Master God Zero. These three Master Gods actually protected the common people's regal. As the 10 Master Gods closest to the Supreme God realm, weren't they restricted by the Supreme Will long ago? They can't interfere in this Lord of all races contest unless they meet certain conditions, isn't it? It's obvious that the human Lord of the Blazing Sun has already satisfied the restrictions of using these three Master God-tier existences. D***M*. Over the countless years, we've spent countless resources, treasures, and energy to rope in these 10 Master God tiers, but they didn't give us any response. Now, that Lord of the Blazing Sun actually invited these three Master God tiers easily, and Terrence is among them. Why is this Lord of the Blazing Sun so lucky? That's not the main point now. The main point is how we should deal with the Lord of the Blazing Sun, who has the protection of three top Master God tiers. It's very difficult. Those are three existences ranked among the top 10 Master God tiers, quasi-supreme God realm existences that have been personally recognized by the Supreme Will. Even top-notch bloodline races like the original spirit race that are related to the Supreme God realm have to be polite to them. With the protection of the three of them, who can deal with the common people's regal? Could it be that I really have to let the common people's regal develop and scrupulously? If I really do that, I might as well let the Supreme Will directly give the position of the Lord of all races to that human Lord. One discovered something. These 10 Master God tiers seem to only appear when we mobilize real Master Gods to attack the common people's regal. When a fake Master God tier like AUS dealt with the Lord of the Blazing Sun, the 10 Master God tiers never appeared. Do you think it's possible that as long as we don't mobilize the Master God tier, the War Master God won't come out to help the Lord of the Blazing Sun? I think that should be the case. How can the Supreme Will allow an existence like the 10 Master God tiers to help the Lords of all races rise without any restrictions? Wouldn't the other Lords of all races have nothing to play with? If that's the case, we won't mobilize the Master God tier. We can completely rely on the activity of the Supreme Will to defeat the Lord of the Blazing Sun within the rules of the activity. This way, no matter how strong the Lord of the Blazing Sun is, he won't be able to do anything to us within the rules of the activity. Our top races are not only strong in terms of the number and quality of experts, but we are also strong in all aspects. Now that the Supreme Will is also open and restricted, with our help, our lords of all races will definitely be able to defeat Zhou Zhou and seize the position of the Lord of all races. The Lord of the Blazing Sun won't be happy for long. This Lord of all races competition will only officially begin from the start of the Lord of the Races event. The sky gradually darkened. In the Blazing Sun Imperial capital, at the Central Emperor Palace, Zhou Zhou sat on the throne and looked at the war summary in front of him. Over the entire day, Zhou Fight and Zhou Zhan had eliminated a total of more than 5 trillion enemies, 63,000 god spirits, and more than 500 true god tier. He obtained billions of mist cores of various levels, origin crystals, skill books, equipment, basic materials, basic gem resources, lightning, life, and death elemental gems. There were also 3, 896, 000, 23, 20 green bronze tier, Lord Talent crystal fragments, 170 legendary tier, and below Scarlet Lord Talent sphere, and a large number of other Lord Talent crystal fragments. Time elemental gem resources were more than 3,312,000,000 units. Space elemental gems were more than 3,012,000,000 units. More than 38,660,000,000 units of divine crystals from the low-tier deity level to the high-tier deity level. 55,420 true God-tier divine crystals. More than 1,122,000,000 low-tier to high-tier deity-level divine artifacts. 9,500 true God-tier divine artifacts. 16 master God-tier divine artifacts. There were a total of more than 120 million divine spark fragments, God-tier medicinal herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. 122,205 master God-tier herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. After Zhou Zhou finished reading, his gaze landed on the space-time elemental gem. More than 6 billion space-time elemental gems, plus the more than 4 billion space-time elemental gems I already have. I can barely upgrade my territory. Without hesitation, Zhou Zhou immediately flew out of the Zhou Zhou looked down at the imperial capital below and silently chanted to level up. The next second, with 20 million trillion units of basic materials, 1,000 mid-tier deity-level advanced grade divine crystals, 5 trillion origin crystals, 10 billion units of space-time elemental gems, and 10 mid-tier deity-level advanced grade territory tokens, they disappeared. Congratulations, your mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade shrine, Lord's Law, has successfully advanced to the mid-tier deity-level advanced grade shrine, Lord's Law. Your territory has successfully been upgraded to a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade territory. Your mid-tier deity-level elementary grade divine origin augmentation formation has been upgraded to a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade divine origin augmentation formation. Territory stone steel durability increased to 50 trillion/50 trillion. Your territory has expanded to 5 billion kilometers times 5 billion kilometers times 1 million kilometers. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Mythical tier building blueprint treasure chest, mid-tier deity level advanced grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Broodmother can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent notification. The strength of the clergy of your life arc has increased. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he opened the requirements to upgrade the mid-tier deity level advanced grade territory to the high-tier deity level elementary grade territory. Construction upgrade. 10 million trillion units of wood. 10 million trillion units of fine sand. 10 million trillion units of metal. 10 million divine crystals. 10 trillion origin crystals. 10 billion units of time elemental gems. 10 billion units of spatial elemental gems. 10 low-level high-tier deity territory, 10 low-level high-tier deity god spirits, 100,000 racial heroes, 10 low-level high-tier deity territory tokens. Zhou Zhou couldn't help but take a deep breath after reading it. It was the same problem. He had satisfied all the other upgrade conditions, but he was far from meeting the conditions for the space-time elemental gem. 20 billion units of space-time elemental gems. I still have more than 445 million units of the space-time elemental gem in my hand. There's a difference of more than 19.5 billion units of space-time elemental gems. It will take me 3 to 4 days to gather a harvest of this level today. He felt a little helpless. However, he did not care too much. 3 to 4 days was actually very short. However, he only felt this way because he was used to rapidly leveling up. To ordinary lords, this advancement speed had already exceeded their imagination. Then, he came to the gate of summoning and spent 40,000 trillion units of basic resources and 10,000 mid-tier deity-level divine crystals to upgrade the Gate of Summoning to the level of a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade. Congratulations! Your Gate of Summoning has successfully been upgraded to a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade building. You can summon plus 300,000 subjects every day. You will summon 20,000 professionals every day. Prompt: under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer X, the number of subjects you can summon every day has reached 21,655,000. You will summon 10,011 professionals every day. After reading it, Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. The number of basic subjects summoned by the mid-tier deity-level advanced grade summoning gate was 2,465,500. After being enhanced by the Glory of the Pioneer X, it directly increased by 10 times, becoming 24,655,000 people. Moreover, because he had upgraded to the territory of a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade, the god spirits that he summoned every day had also become 11 mid-tier deity-level advanced grade god spirits. I really hope that my Gate of Summoning can summon true god-tier subjects every day. Zhou Zhou was filled with anticipation. Then, he looked at the upgrade requirements of the Gate of Summoning. Construction upgrade: 50,000 trillion units of wood, 50,000 trillion units of fine sand, 50,000 trillion units of metal, 50,000 trillion units of stone, 10,000 low-level high-tier deity, grade divine crystals. Territory level upgraded to low-level high-tier deity grade. Zhou Zhou retracted his gaze. Then he spent 4,000 trillion units of basic materials, 1 billion mid-tier deity-level divine crystals, and 1 billion basic elemental gems to upgrade the original Dragon Abyss in the Gate of Summoning to the level of a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade. Then, he looked over. Building name: Original Dragon Abyss. Construction level: mid-tier deity-level advanced grade. Construction effect: every day, you can summon 600 million white-silver tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 60 million yellow-gold tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 6 million white platinum tier intermediate grade pure-blooded dragons from the original Dragon Abyss. 6 high-tier deity-level advanced grade dragon gods will become subjects under the Lord. There is an 11% chance of summoning legendary dragons. Construction upgrade: 5,000 trillion units of wood, 5,000 trillion units of fine sand, 5,000 trillion units of metal, 5,000 trillion units of stone, 5 billion divine crystals of mid-tier deity-level advanced grade, 5 billion basic elemental gems. After reading it, Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He could directly summon 666,666,666 pure-blooded dragons in a day the next day. When the primordial dragon saw this, it would probably doubt its life. The next upgrade would have to wait until the territory advanced to the high-tier deity-level elementary grade. Zhou Zhou did not stop. He returned to the shrine and sent someone to call Mu Gu, Zheng Fugue, and Carol Moeli over. After the three of them arrived, Zhou Zhou sat on the throne and asked with a faint smile, "This emperor has just upgraded his territory. Tell me about your respective improvements." "Yes, your majesty," the three of them said in unison. Then, Mu Gu was the first to speak. "Your majesty, the current level of the Scarlet Broodmother that I'm raising has already advanced from the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade to the mid-tier deity level advanced grade. The number of mist mothers that had evolved from the mid-tier deity level advanced grade Scarlet Broodmother has increased from 150,000 to 200,000. Every mist mother's mist mother world can now nurture 800 million fog monsters. 200,000 mist mothers able nurture a total of 160 trillion fog monsters. In addition, the quality and efficiency of cultivating high-quality scarlet heirs has also increased. Currently, I able foster 3 high-tier deity-level advanced grade scarlet god spirits in a day, or 50 mid-tier deity-level scarlet god spirits, and 200 low-tier deity-level scarlet descendants. Zhou Zhou could not help but click his tongue. Good God! He could foster so many scarlet god spirits in a day. This was much more than the god spirits summoned by the Gate of Summoning. Of course, This could only be nurtured at the price of not nurturing ordinary scarlet fog monsters. Therefore, even though Mu Gu's words were very attractive, Zhou Zhou still had no intention of nurturing the scarlet god spirit. It seems that your scarlet broodmother still needs to advance to the high-tier deity level to foster a scarlet true god tier, right? Zhou Zhou asked. Yes, your majesty. Mu Gu nodded. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he thought for a moment and said, among your 200,000 mist mothers, you left 40,000 to specially foster the iron-eating bear and the withered tree. The other 160,000 mist mothers, 80,000 are used to foster the violent storm demon spirit, and the other 80,000 are used to nurture the yellow talisman Dao soldier. After Zhou Zhou finished speaking, he was looking forward to it. This was a total of 160,000 mist mothers. It could foster a total of 128 trillion mother nest monsters. With the enhancement of the Lord talent and title of the King of Loots, he could obtain 256 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier recruitment books, 256 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier class change certificates, 256 trillion violent storm spirit recruitment books, and 256 trillion violent storm spirit class change certificates tomorrow. If he converted all these recruitment books and class change certificates into new recruits, it would be a total of 1,024 trillion soldiers, which was 1,024 trillion soldiers.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.